All right, today we're doing 1.5 Intro to Angles. Okay. So today we're going to introduce like actually measuring them, seeing what is the actual degrees on each one. So just for review, you don't have to write this part down, but let's name 3 different angles. So somebody raise your hand and tell me what the name of one of these angles is. Sebastian?
JOK.
So he said JOK, so angle JOK. Braden? POJ. So he said POJ. So it's the large angle, POJ. And then Candy?
KOP.
And then KOP. Okay. So now we've named 3 different angles there. All right? So measuring angles. Anytime you see the M in front of the angle's name, that means they want the measure of it. Okay, the measure of it is just how much does it actually equal. So, for example, this one we said the measure of angle ABD is 37 degrees. Okay, so the degrees is the actual measure. Like if you're measuring length, you might use inches. Okay, degrees is how far apart are those angles. The bigger the degree, the bigger the angle is, right? Okay, like yesterday we talked about an alligator's mouth. If he opened his mouth 30 degrees, it'd be somewhere like that. 50 degrees would be a little more. If he opened it 90 degrees somehow, it would be just like that, right? Okay. So the bigger the degree, the larger the angle. So let's look at what's the measure of angle DBC. How much does DBC equal?
21.
21. Make sure you're writing that down. 21 degrees. So like I said, anytime you see the M in front of it, it wants to know how much does it equal. What is the degree on that? What about the measure of angle ABC?
37.
Nope, that's ABD.
Oh, wait, never mind.
ABC. What do you think we do to find ABC, the large one? Yeah, we just add up all the ones inside of that one. Okay? So think, the alligator's mouth is ABC, so it includes all of that. Okay? So we just add them up. 37 plus 21 is how much? 58. Okay. Any questions on that part? All right. So then we have congruent angles. 2 angles are congruent when they have the same measure. Congruent just means what?
Equal.
Equal or the same, right? Okay. So, pretty simple there. Next. So let's do this example. What do we call this thing?
Protractor.
A protractor. Okay. Protractor is what we use to measure angles. So is anybody in here going to actually go into welding or any kind of construction, you think, one day? Okay. One person? So a couple people maybe. So like you're going to use not necessarily maybe a protractor, but you use something similar and you'll be measuring out like your angles a lot. Okay? So this is actually extremely applicable to real life. Any type of construction or welding or anything like that. All right, so one thing you want to do with the protractor is if you notice it has 2 rows of numbers. It's got a top row and a bottom row. It does not matter which row you use, but you need to be consistent. Does anybody know what it means to be consistent?
Careful.
Not careful, but like do the same for all of them. Okay? To stay consistent means to stay like doing the same for all of it. So you need to either use the top row for every single one or use the bottom row for every one. I personally always just use the top row. Okay, it's just easier for me to see the numbers there. So let's just use the top row, and what we're going to do is go around and label like what is each line, each ray, what is the top number it's going through. So like this one right here, what's this top number it's going through?
0.
0. So put 0 there at the end. What about the HM?
35. Wait, never mind.
No, you're good. It's 35. Yeah, it's going through that 35 there. What about HL? 90. Oh, and you're supposed to have degrees. Sorry, I forgot to put the degree symbols. HK? 125. And then HJ? 180. Okay. Not 0, because 0 is the bottom number. You want to use the top number. Like I said, if you use the top numbers for one, you want to use it for all. Alright, so it's always best just to label those right off the bat, and then it makes your life really simple to do this other part. So A wants us to find the measure of angle GHK. So if I was to follow the road, I'd start on G and I'd go to H up to K. So it's this angle right here. So what two numbers does a GHK have on it? The 0 and the 125, right? So what I do is just subtract those. So do the 125 minus 0. And what do we get? 125 degrees. Make sure you put your degree symbol. Next, JHL. J, H, and whoops, L. Measure of angle JHL. What two numbers is associated with that one?
90 and 180.
90 and 180. So we're just going to do 180 minus 90, right?
Yeah, it's 90.
And you get 90. What'd y'all get for measure of angle LHK? What is it?
35.
35, good. Because LHK is going to be the 125 minus the 90, right? Because LHK is L to HK, so it's the 125 minus 90. And it gives us 35 degrees. All right, this one. It tells me that the measure of angle RST is 114 degrees. Then it wants to find the measure of angle RSV. RST, is that the small one of the small angles or the large angle? It's a large angle, right? So the 114 degrees is for the large angle. So I'm just going to put it out there like that. And then it says find the measure of angle RSV. That's this one here. This RSV is this corner here. Remember, the angles are the corners. Okay, so it's this, wants to know how much is this one right here. So if I know the total, the big one is 114, this other small one here is 72, what do you think we do to find what the missing one is? Subtract it. So I'm going to say 114 minus 72. 4 minus 2? 11 minus 7? 4. So the measure of angle RSV, 42 degrees. This one says ray QS bisects angle PQR. Find the indicated measure. So it says QS, ray QS is a bisector. What does a bisector do? Cuts it in half. So if something's cut in half, what are those two pieces to each other? Equal. Okay, they're same size on each, right? So if QS cuts this big angle in half, that means each of these little ones is congruent. So we're going to put congruent. Oops, let me get a better color. And congruent, because we know that QS is the bisector. All right, then knowing that, it wants us to take each of these examples and figure it out. Now what it wants us to do here is just simply plug in the numbers they give you and solve for the other two. And then the next problem, we completely forget about these numbers and just focus on these numbers. Okay? So don't combine these numbers, for example, 3 and 4. Each one's their own number, their own thing. So it says the measure of angle PQS is 63 degrees. Find the other two measures. So I'm just going to kind of redraw it here. Can y'all see the red okay? It's a little hard to see, huh? So it says PQS is 63. Is that one of the small ones or the large ones? It's a small one, right? And it's just right here, 63 degrees. Then it wants us to find these other two measures, the other small one and the large one. Zoom in a little more. So it wants to measure of angle RQS, measure of angle PQR. All right, the first one, measure of angle RQS. That's this small one right here, right? If we said this side is 63, what's RQS got to be? 63, because we said that each one's congruent, right? Because they were cut in half. So angle RQS is just 63 degrees then. So that means that's going to be 63. So with that being said, how do I find what the large one is?
Adding.
Just add them together, right? So I'm going to say 63 plus 63 gives me what? 126. Questions about that one? After you worked it, you should have got 62 degrees. What did you have to do to find it? Divide by 2. If we knew the total was 124 and we had 2 equal parts, we just divide it by 2 and it tells us what each part is.